My name is Paul Mallalieu, and this presentation is a summary report of one of the SHAPE webinars in order to contribute to the growth and professional learning of others in our profession. The SHAPE webinar that will be summarized is Rock the CSPAP, How and Why to Add Climbing to a Comprehensive School Physical Activity Program. The presenter of this webinar is Mertice Mervos. Mertice is the coordinator of programs and partnerships for Everlast Climbing. She develops rock climbing programming for physical educators, conducts hands-on climbing trainings and demos at schools and Shape America conferences. She is a former classroom educator at the elementary and middle school levels in both Illinois and Minnesota. She holds a master's degree in teaching from the University of Chicago, and as you could probably assume, she is an avid rock climber herself for over 30 years. The webinar is broken down into 3 parts. Part 1, Why Climbing? Part 2, What is the CSPAP, or the Comprehensive School Physical Activity Program? And Part 3, Climbing and CSPAP. Part 1 is a justification of why climbing can be so beneficial to students' health. Part 2 is designed to give an explanation of what the Comprehensive School Physical Activity Program is and how it helps to drive the district's wellness education of all students. And Part 3 ties Part 1 and 2 together by explaining why climbing in physical education enhances the CSPAP. The 5 learning objectives of this webinar are: first, participants will learn how rock climbing aligns with Shape America's national standards and grade level outcomes for K-12 physical education and contributes to the development of 5 aspects of physical fitness: strength, muscle endurance, balance, flexibility, and cardiovascular endurance. Second, participants will be presented with the research that supports rock climbing as a moderate to vigorous physical activity. Third, participants will understand how climbing impacts all learning domains: psychomotor, affective, and cognitive. Fourth, participants will discover how climbing can be differentiated for youth of varying ages, abilities, and fitness levels. And lastly, participants will receive examples of how a rock climbing program can help accomplish the goals of a comprehensive school physical activity program. There are 2 types of climbing walls in schools: the traverse climbing wall, most commonly found in elementary and middle schools, and top rope climbing walls, more commonly found in high schools, but are found in some middle schools. The traverse climbing walls are 8 to 10 feet high. You climb them horizontally. They have simple safety protocol, and they can be used in high school as more advanced bouldering style walls if you place down the appropriate safety equipment such as mats. Top rope climbing walls are a minimum of 10 feet high. Typically, they're between 20 to 40 feet high. Some go as high as 60 to 70 feet, but more commonly 20 to 40 feet high. You climb them vertically. You need special equipment in order to top rope climb. You need obviously a rope, a helmet, harness, carabiners, and or auto belays. And additional safety training such as belay training is required in order to complete top rope climbing safely. Climbing walls can be placed in traditional or creative locations. The most common 2 locations are gymnasiums and playgrounds, but they have been placed in outdoor covered areas. Traverse holds have been added to brick walls, and the presenter even described one location that she went to where they were placed in a hallway. The presenter explains that there are 5 valid reasons as to why rock climbing should be added to schools. First, climbing impacts all learning domains: psychomotor, affective, and cognitive. Second, research supports rock climbing as moderate to vigorous physical activity. Third, rock climbing aligns with national standards and grade level outcomes. Fourth, rock climbing can be differentiated for youth of varying ages, abilities, and fitness levels. And fifth, it provides an alternative to traditional team sports. Climbing is a lifetime sport, and often students who were previously not engaged in other sports really enjoy climbing. The presenter describes how climbing impacts all three learning domains. In the psychomotor domain, climbing helps to develop strength, muscle endurance, balance and coordination, flexibility, cardiovascular endurance, and body awareness. In the affective domain, climbing helps to teach leadership skills, to understand positive risk taking, develops trust building, cooperation and teamwork, and under the virtue and development, it helps people to develop courage, confidence, patience, perseverance, and awareness of others. Under the cognitive domain, climbing helps to teach people problem-solving skills, how to communicate, focus and concentration, and cross-curricular opportunities. The presenter went into a variety of cross-curricular opportunities. The two that I have highlighted here I thought stood out as being very effective at the elementary school level. In math, the students would receive an index card with a problem, and they would have to solve the problem and then climb to the correct answer that was placed on different learning holds. In your ELA or your literature, students were assigned a spelling word. They had to be able to spell the word correctly and then follow the path that had all the different correct letters in order to spell the word correctly while climbing. Rock climbing is something that can be adapted and modified for all students. Climbing, from the presenter's point of view, can be started at age 3 and all the way up. I know I've been to climbing gyms where they said that they would allow as young as 1-year-old just to stand on the mat and climb, reaching the holds they can reach and having the parents sit behind them. So it can be incorporated for almost all ages. And you can add individual and group games to traverse climbing walls to make students have to think cognitively and to analyze what is being asked of them and work together in teams. Climbing can be adapted for students with disabilities by adding footholds that have platforms, larger handholds to make it a little easier, the ability to lift the mats and pull a wheelchair along the wall by using the holds to pull themselves along. Or if you have a really strong belayer, they can give additional support to someone that may not be able to utilize arms or legs as effectively. Climbing meets all 5 National Association for Sport and Physical Education standards. Standard 1 is met through stretching, balancing, and weight transfer that is involved in climbing. Standard 2 is met by applying concepts and strategies to help improve the knowledge and principles and tactics involved with climbing. Standard 3 is met by analyzing and identifying health-related benefits of climbing. Standard 4 is met through the incorporation of safety, rule following, personal responsibility, and proper climbing etiquette. And Standard 5 is met by providing the opportunity for social interaction. Climbing helps districts meet all 5 major components of the Comprehensive School Activity Program. Climbing walls can add to CSPAP by use in physical education classes, as previously mentioned throughout this PowerPoint presentation, that in physical education they can be incorporated in daily warm-ups, it can be incorporated through specific units. Before and after school programs, you can have open climbs where students can sign up for times where they can come in. Some schools do like a 6 a.m. to 7:30 open climb time. Some schools have after school. Some schools even have climbing competition teams where they go and compete against other climbing teams that are in their state or their region. You have family involvement, you have staff development. The presenter went into how staff development is used to create a sense of family and team building atmosphere. They also had staff climbing challenges where staff could document when they climbed and either how high or how often or how long, just a way to motivate staff to set a good example to be role models for students by staying physically fit themselves. Climbing can be used on a regular basis. It's not just by the wall, put it up, and use it 1 unit a year. Climbing can be used in a daily warm-up activity. The presenter described how some physical educators will start off by having students climb a traverse wall just to get warmed up because it utilizes every part of the body. You can use it as part of a station in a circuit. Some physical educators say they used a Fitness Friday where students had choices of the activities they wanted to participate in, and one of the available options was always the traverse wall. It can be a rainy day activity where if something planned outside falls through because of inclement weather of some sort, then you can have a separate lesson plan ready for a rainy day to use inside. You can add easy to difficult challenges where students get awards for time traversing a wall, or the ability to go to a certain height, or the ability to use certain difficult holds, and they can receive awards, and you can keep track and utilize those to help motivate students. Some thoughts and reflections that I had in regards to this webinar. I thought it was an excellent webinar. I was very excited to have taken a part of it. I'm going to incorporate it into my professional development in regards to trying to see if our school can add some sort of adventure education course. That was my thought. Now it can be incorporated in pre-existing courses, Gen PE, Lifetime Fitness, Health and PE, but I think that if we can add courses that have rock climbing, canoeing, kayaking, fishing, camping, hiking, things that teach students how to safely be physically active outdoors. I think that would be a very excellent benefit for our students in regards to lifetime health, just to promote the ability for students to be confident in these outdoor activities. I was encouraged to see that climbing is a physical activity that incorporates all 5 of our national standards. It's something that is growing. I even saw on ESPN2 a climbing competition the other day. Climbing wall funding, I think, was the biggest issue that came up to me when I was looking at the information being presented, and the thoughts were going through my mind about how awesome that would be to incorporate. And then it always comes down to, well, how much money is that going to cost? And there's a resource. You have everlastclimbing.com, which is an excellent resource to show all the different types of walls that are provided, but there's also a link on there where it breaks down the different grant offers for walls to be installed at schools at both the state and national level in regards to the grants and where they can be, the money can be allocated to. And so I just thought that the webinar overall was excellent for professional growth for me personally, and information that I really want to go back and share with the other physical educators at my school.